Good afternoon, everybody. Good to go. We wanted to come and talk to you today after what has been an extraordinary hour in question time. Question after question, we saw a Premier refusing to answer what are some very serious questions. And when the Premier walked in my shoes nearly a decade ago, honesty and transparency mattered to her. It seems in her third term that behaviour no longer matters. And to see an independent officer have laptops, phones confiscated, information private information that could relate to any mayor, councillor, a whistleblower, members of parliament, to have that information taken and then those devices returned without all of that information, I'm sorry, but that doesn't pass the pub test. Good governments care about integrity, and if integrity matters, you release information. If integrity matters, independent officers are able to do their job free from the heavy hand of government. And today's revelations are concerning. This government not only doesn't care about accountability anymore, it's prepared to trash it. And that's a dark day for every Queenslander. On my first day that I stood here before you, I said to you that transparency and accountability matter to me. And as a result, I named a shadow spokesperson focused solely on that. Now, that's a position the government doesn't have. It's a position that I have in opposition, and I can tell you it's going to be a position we have in government. And it's somebody who's been in that building a long time and has conducted herself in a manner that I believe is a standard for the parliament. And I'll ask Fiona Simpson to make some comments on this.
Morning, everybody. What Queenslanders have seen today, they've been introduced today to Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk's goon squad. Anastasia Palaszczuk's goon squad having a raid against the office of the Integrity Commissioner is an attack on integrity. This Premier has been a Premier for 3 terms, and she promised that she would be a Premier who'd govern with integrity, but that's been trashed with the way that she's conducted herself, and to see the situation with the attack upon the office of the Integrity Commissioner. This raid on the office of the Integrity Commissioner with the government's goon squad is completely unacceptable, and Queenslanders have a right to know.
Good afternoon, folks. Jarrod, Bleijie, Manager of Opposition Business. What we saw this morning in Parliament in question time and the media reports are quite concerning. To have the independent office of the Integrity Commissioner come under such scrutiny in terms of the allegations that mobile phones were confiscated, laptops were confiscated, devices returned to the Integrity Commissioner's office, but with documents removed from them. This is dangerous and it is scary. The Premier in question time today tried to deflect, but can I just make you all abundantly clear? What the Premier was talking about with the Newbury report is a statutory review of the Office of Integrity Commissioner's functions. There's nothing crazy about that. That happens every 5 years, just as the PCCC conduct the statutory review into the Crime and Corruption Commission, and other bodies have their statutory reviews. That is a standard government process that has been happening since these bodies were established. What the allegations in the media today are quite separate. The allegations are that the Public Service Commission have gone into the Office of the Integrity Commissioner and taken various documents, laptops, phones. More concerning is the Integrity Commissioner herself is quoted as saying that she is concerned about the independence of her office and how she independently performs her duties and functions. She is the Integrity Commissioner of Queensland. Members of Parliament, councillors, mayors, senior public servants go and seek advice from the Integrity Commissioner, giving personal information over to the Integrity Commissioner for advice. How can we be sure that that information is not in the hands of Labor Party strategists, in hands of government? Now let me finish on this in terms of Labor Party strategist. It is no secret that the Integrity Commissioner with the CCC have been doing forums about integrity across Queensland over the last 12 months. In these forums and various media reports that I've seen, the Integrity Commissioner has spoken about the undue influence of Labor lobbyists on this government, the increase of undue influence on Labor lobbyists in this government. We've seen Labor lobbyists like Evan Moorhead parked in 1 William Street in the Premier's office during election campaigns. We've seen enacted strategies subject to media reports about inappropriate dealings. The Integrity Commissioner has raised these issues publicly. We've seen former Director Generals subject to investigations and Crime and Corruption Commission reports. We saw Jackie Trad, the subject to Integrity Commissioner reports. Is it the case that because the Integrity Commissioner has raised these issues, that the Premier is out to get the Integrity Commissioner? And I think the answer to that is yes. And it's scary. And all Queenslanders should be concerned. Because when a government attacks the very body, the very person who protects the integrity and accountability of government in the state, then the system will fall. Happy to take questions. Good question, Lane. Thank you. These allegations have been circling the halls of Parliament for some time now. We raised some of these issues in budget estimates last year, where we had the Integrity Commissioner in estimates, we had the Premier in estimates. The Premier confirmed that a matter was referred to a particular body. So these matters have been out there, but here's what I got from question time today. When the opposition asked the Premier all these direct questions, the Premier not once denied any of the allegations that were published in the Courier Mail this morning. We gave her the opportunity to talk about it with 8 to 10 questions. The Premier not once denied any of these allegations. So the real question now is the Integrity Commissioner, the Department of Premier and Cabinet, the CCC and the Office of Integrity Commissioner have got to come clean about what is happening. And if it is the case that the Premier's Department of Premier and Cabinet or the Public Service Commission have been doing what is alleged to have happened, then that is serious and should follow further investigations. Absolutely. The Public Service Commission and the Commissioner appointed and report to the Premier directly. If the Public Service Commission, as it is alleged, to have gone into the offices of the Integrity Commissioner and taken laptops and confiscated mobile phones with private information, someone gave them the order for that to happen. And the only person with the power to order that Public Service Commission to do it is the Premier. No. The Premier, we raised this in budget estimates prior to these allegations being reported today. The Premier said that there was a matter that she referred, but again she said she didn't refer it to the CCC in budget estimates. She said she referred it to another body. So this, again, the Premier for 3 or 4 questions skirted around the issue, said there's a statutory review taking place, and then out of the blue in question time today said the CCC were involved. Since when? And the Premier's provided no information with respect to what she was talking about in question time today. It was very problematic. It's problematic, it's murky, it confuses the issue. The one person and the one body who can explain all of this is the Premier. The Premier appoints the Public Service Commission. The Public Service Commission responds to the Premier. She should have explained all of this in the Parliament today. And I say something else, that the allegations that are in the media today are of such a serious nature. For the Premier not to deal with it when she first stood up in Parliament shows a complete lack of leadership, and that she thinks people may just, this may just go away because she has this ruler mentality that she can do no wrong. Well, I'm sorry, the Premier can do wrong, and in this instance she has done wrong, And someone has to get to the bottom of what has happened here, because if it is the case, which I believe it is, that the Integrity Commissioner has a target on her back because she has been talking about Labor lobbyists and concerns about lobbying activity to this Labor government, then someone, even the CCC, should get to the bottom of it and find out what has happened. Sorry, Jess, I can't hear. Yeah, absolutely. These matters have been raised in budget estimates. They've been raised in the floor of Parliament. The Premier is now involved with the CCC. The Premier is involved in another entity in budget estimates. The CCC, I suspect, if you put questions to them today, should advise what's happening and what, if any, the involvement they have or have had.
It's concerning, and at the end of it all, we're one nation, and I understand the argument when you say that New South Wales has got an extra share of vaccines, but what about every other state and territory? We're now dead last, and as a proud Queenslander, that concerns me. And what I want to know today is, I just hope that as a result of any decision we make, that AstraZeneca doesn't get tipped down the sink or sent away when we want every vaccine we have in people's arms. I want to make sure that every dose we have in Queensland goes into somebody's arm, and as quickly as possible. And we are losing pace with the rest of the nation. And the government can stand up and blame Canberra and blame everyone else, but in the end, when you're coming last both in first doses and fully vaccinated people, something is wrong. And I'll tell you what a big portion of that is. It was that Queenslanders looked at the Premier and saw that she made every excuse not to get AstraZeneca, time after time after time, and that sent shockwaves through the community. And we are paying for that now. And what I say to Queenslanders is, I want to give hope over fear. And I want to give an opportunity to people to know that if we get vaccinated, we can get our lives back to normal. So go and get vaccinated. And I want to make sure that every single vaccine is not wasted in this state, because heaven knows we need the help right now. I think a lack of attention to detail in rolling out mass vaccination hubs, a refusal to have drive-through clinics, mixed messaging on the vaccine, mixed messaging on what freedom looks like in the future. There's four to start with. No, I'm referring to the Premier of this state way back in February when I privately wrote to her and suggested that the best thing we could do would get vaccinated together to show that signal to the community that vaccines are safe and effective. And come on, let's call it for what it is. There was every excuse made under the sun. There was a flu vaccine that had to get prioritised, contrary to government advice. There was a tetanus needle that needed to be given because of a vicious dog. There was a possibility of being too close to the trip overseas and couldn't get 2 doses of AstraZeneca close enough, despite many weeks in between. Come on. That had a direct impact on people's confidence in the vaccine. If the leader of your state is effectively finding excuses not to get vaccinated when her time is up, I would suggest to you that the everyday Queenslander says, maybe she knows something we don't. Well, the truth is, she doesn't. It's safe. And I want people to know that. And I want them to know that the greatest ticket they can give their family, the small business at the end of the street, the casual worker who works in it, is to go and get vaccinated. And whatever vaccine, wherever you go, just get it done. In the end, the Premier of the state is the person who sets the standard and delivers a plan based on the health advice they're given. And her refusal to get the vaccine was the single greatest dash of hope we had.
Do you worry that older people have been holding out Pfizer are going to take the Pfizer doses from 12-year-olds who are now?
I'm never going to pit one Queenslander against another. All I want to know is that every single vaccine we have gets into the arms of a Queenslander and not into the drain of a hospital. and I want everyone to have the confidence to go and do it so that we can get vaccinated and we can get off the bottom of the table.
If you look at the figures that the numbers of people getting Pfizer from Queensland Health is declining, the numbers of people getting the Commonwealth supply of AstraZeneca from Janssen doses is declining. Worry about that.
I do.
Why do you think people are not going to the doctors
For,
getting AstraZeneca?
ask any GP what happened when the mixed messages came out of the state and the Premier refused to get that vaccine. Ask what happened. Well, we all do. We all do. And contrary to the nonsense that you hear in the House, I've never sought to run a protection racket for the feds. I've said consistently that I wanted to see more vaccines rolled out a lot more quickly. But the issue I have is that we can't say that somehow Queensland is running dead last because of the Commonwealth rollout. We can argue the percentage by all means, but we're last. We're last on the first dose, we're last on the second dose, and increasingly we're losing touch with the rest of the nation. And it's very hard to see anything other than vaccine hesitancy and a lack of options for Queenslanders to get vaccinated as the key reason why we are losing pace with the rest of the nation. Whether or not that percentage is 38% or 58% that we're arguing about, in the end we are losing touch with the rest of the nation, and questions have to be answered. Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Enjoy the afternoon.